What is up, guys? You are Trippin with Jay. My name is Jay, and welcome back to the channel. And if this is your first time here, we mainly focus on travel as a whole. So we do travel news, travel vlogs, and most importantly, we do reaction videos to other travel YouTubers out here in the travel sphere. So if you like that type of content, go ahead and subscribe to the channel and support the channel by buying some new merch. We got the new merch here. I got the shirt on now. Fits great, feels amazing as far as quality goes, and you get to support the channel at the same time. So go to trippinwithjay.com if you do want to support the channel. So today's content creator is one of our favorites for sure. His name is Maya. He's currently at 1.85 million subscribers. And I saw this video, right? And I didn't take a look at it first because it's 5 months old by now. And I just wanted to do a little bit of a review on it. So it's titled, "No Black People Allowed in South Africa's White-Only Town." And I got very curious. I'm like, what is this about? So let's find out. And of course, guys, always support the original content creator, and I'll link the video in the description box below. So make sure you go ahead and support the original content creators. Without further ado, let's go ahead and start.
I'm in love with Orania.
Yeah.
Can I stay in here?
You're not Afrikaner.
Afrikaners are descendants of Dutch settlers who arrived at the Cape of Good Hope on a boat in the year 1652. Would you say that Orania is a controversial town in South Africa?
Orania is definitely. I don't have to doubt it. I know that Orania is controversial.
Orania. What is happening? Can somebody answer?
Section 235 of the South African Constitution acknowledges the right of cultural groups to self-determination.
Whoa.
But what about the Afrikaner enclave of Orania, which also uses race to determine who can be allowed to live in that community?
Yo, that's legal. What?
The main reason why it's controversial is misperception. I think so, it's my personal opinion. Misperception about Orania. The people with the most to say about Orania have never visited.
Just say a prayer for my city. Just say a prayer for my city.
And what are your favorite things about Orania?
Have you ever seen a 16 or 17-year-old girl walk around 9 o'clock at night? Anywhere in South Africa?
It's not common.
Okay.
Yeah.
We don't have burglar guards, and if they leave a bike somewhere, tomorrow morning it's still there.
Interesting outlook.
Would you agree with me if I say that this man performed a lot of atrocities in the past?
It's our history.
But I know it's your history, but at the end of the day, a lot of people were harmed in the process.
Yeah.
You don't think if you are embracing this, you're definitely embracing apartheid?
Is it okay to celebrate Shaka Zulu leader? Do you know who that is?
I know who Shaka Zulu is.
He killed a lot of people. Is it fine to celebrate him?
That's a question for South Africans.
That is a question. This is a question for Oranians.
Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I ended up in this situation.
Whose voice was that? Oh man, one of my comedian.
I don't even know how to feel right now. Should I tell you guys that I'm super scared? Because I'm about to do one of the craziest videos that I've never dreamt of. This particular video will definitely go down as one of my most sensitive vlogs ever. I mean, I'm currently in Cape Town, driving to a town that so many South Africans don't want to hear about. I mean, if I talk about South Africans, I'm talking about Black South Africans, indigenous South Africans, people that were here before the settlers came in here. I believe that most of you have heard of the town. In my whole lifetime, I never thought I would come across a town within the land of Black people where blacks are not allowed to live in there. People out there believe that Orania is
crazy.
A racist model. Do you believe that whatever you guys are practicing here is racism?
No.
So what is it then?
It's a cultured town. It's a cultured town. It's a
Culture.
town. The narrative is out there that if you preserve your culture, you're racist. and that's not true.
But I don't think an African can leave Africa, go to Europe, and say that we just bought this land and no one is allowed to come in. In this town, it's whites only. If I have to decode the whites only, I'm talking about Africans only. So if you're a black man like me, you cannot stay there.
We say Oranje is a community for Afrikaners. It's not an issue just white in, black out. It's a question of culture.
But someone might ask, if you want to preserve your culture, you're preserving your culture on a land that belongs to South Africans.
Well, that is whole nother debate.
If that is the case.
Yo. I mean, even though that the gentleman that What Am I is speaking to at the beginning of the video, like gave him a question that What Am I was like, uh-oh. What Am I also gave him that back. He was like, yo, you guys are trying to claim land from South, like that was owned by South Africans and make it white only or Afrikaans only, which is wild of a concept. And I'm like, listen, if somebody can dish it out, they should also be able to take it as well. So I'm glad that we're watching this video, because it goes to show you that there are loopholes, bro. There's a loophole with every rule. That's the only way that this town even exists, is something is going on with the law, because apartheid is obviously outlawed. So they can't obviously make a town or a city white only. It has to be a loophole somewhere, and this is why this town exists, and it continues to exist into perpetuity, and why What Am I is putting a spotlight on it. There's a reason behind it. So I'm very curious as to how this video is going to end and what Am I actually thinks about it.
Then let's bring the other debate.
Terrible things are happening in South Africa.
White South Africans make up about 8% of the population, but they hold about 3/4 of privately owned land in the country. In contrast, only 4% of privately held land is owned by Black South Africans, who make up nearly 80% of the country's 60 million residents.
Bro, this is why I hate to keep pausing the video. I know that's been like one of the main complaints in the comments, but you have to understand that the people that originally owned the land, which are the black South Africans, they had their land taken from them. And it's a very akin to what's happening here in the US. And we call it gentrification here in the US, where a predominantly black neighborhood or city where, black people reside, the land, abandoned houses, like places no one wants to buy anymore, is bought up by other nationalities. And as the other nationalities build up those neighborhoods or houses or land that nobody wanted into nicer parts of the city or nicer parts of the area, the black people that used to live in that neighborhood for their whole lives are like, wow, it's really changing around here. That's gentrification, right? But what needs to be really taught, the real lesson that needs to be taught to not only black people, right? I'm not trying to focus on them, but the people that have lived on a specific part of a land or a city their entire lives, they should be taught to buy that land or own it. Not enough people that have lived in a city, lived on a block their entire life, they don't go back and buy the block. They're okay with just having their parents renting to eventually have where their parents live or where they grew up at be bought out by people that don't even look like them. It happens every single day. What we need to really do as a people is to go back and buy the block. I'm not saying go back and buy like your specific childhood home, but go back to your home city and invest in your home city in real estate. And that's how we buy back the block. Because if we don't, we're not going to own the city or the place or the area where we grew up at. How sad would that be if you happen to grow up in a city like Detroit or Chicago, and your parents raised you in a specific area or a neighborhood, and you go back to that neighborhood and all of your neighbors are changed. Your parents no longer live there because they either couldn't afford the rent anymore, or they sold because they were offered a really good price in their home, which I don't find anything wrong with that. But we should go back and invest in our hometown so we make sure that we own that and it doesn't fall to other people that honestly have never lived in the part of the city ever, right? And this is what's happening here in the video. And it's very similar to how the US operates as well.
I'm sure that you guys know that white people were not originally from South Africa. Like they migrated in the late 17th century from Netherlands, France, England, Germany, in short from Europe. I mean, they were immigrants in South Africa, but they forcefully colonized the people. Actually, no. They enslaved the owners of the land, the black South Africans. This is something that Donald Trump doesn't know, by the way, so you're welcome.
The way that she described it, I just talked about that. People that don't even live there. People that have no history of being in that part of the world. Came in there, bought the land, owned 3/4 of it, and they're only 8% of the population. Something's wrong there, bro. I'm gonna run that back for you guys so you guys understand how important it is to go back to your hometown, or at least the same region of where you're from or where you grew up at, and purchase real estate there, or at least try to own something there. This is important, bro.
50 million residents.
I'm sure that you guys know that white people were not originally from South Africa. Like they migrated in the late 17th century from Netherlands, France, England, Germany, in short from Europe. I mean, they were immigrants in South Africa, but they forcefully colonized the people. Actually, no. They enslaved the owners of the land, the black South Africans. This is something that Donald Trump doesn't know, by the way, so you're welcome.
Last month, President Cyril Ramaphosa signed into law a bill that allows the government to expropriate property for public purposes or in the public interest, in some cases without compensation.
Well, I don't think land expropriation without compensation is a good idea. I think if you realistically look at the amount of land that the South African government has, that the big communities like the Kunyama Trust have and so on, I think the land is not the problem. The problem in South Africa is economic problem, and there's actually been research done on that, proving that people don't necessarily want land, they want a better economic future. Most people don't want to be farmers. To farm is a tough job, it's not a very rewarding job in terms of money and so on. I also think that the South African economy will collapse if there is land expropriation without compensation.
Interesting. And I want to include you in this conversation, so let me know what you think in the comment section, but don't forget to like this video because it's very important to me.
Welcome back. I mean, since What Am I is asking what we think, right, chat? I think if the land was purchased, if that land of Orania, for instance, I want to use that as an example, if that land was purchased at a particular price and it wasn't just like stolen and then recorded with the government as the white people owning it and nothing was paid, then I think the government should take it back. But if the people that own that town own that land and they purchased it with money, I believe that the government should just pay them that same amount of money, take the land back. I think that's fair, right? If the land was truly like taken like that, pay them that same amount that they paid, call it even, they get the rights back to the government. That's what I think, bro. But if they stole it with no money, government take it back immediately.
Orania, an Afrikaner-only town in South Africa, has weighed in on the US President Donald Trump's order halting financial aid to South Africa and offering refugee status to Afrikaners.
But this is what the Afrikaners think about Trump's offer.
I didn't know that.
We are not necessarily interested in tax dollars and handouts and help. What we want, we already got to an extent. We want recognition. We want recognition from abroad We want recognition locally, and we want recognition from our peers. That is to say, firstly, those people are a people upon themselves, and this, they have the right to make certain decisions for themselves. That is what we want. We don't want people's money. We don't want people's handouts. We as Orania want larger recognition, greater recognition. And I think that is not too much to ask. Actually, I think that's very reasonable.
And probably you might be wondering, what do Black South Africans feel about this?
Yes.
Orania can't be a folk state. It is actually what I consider to be a micronation. It's just like a small, considered, it has certain independencies. They have their own currency.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, when I picked up on that, I realized that there's a measure of sovereignty that is not complete.
Yes.
You guys might be wondering, how did I got to know about this town within South Africa?
Yeah.
So recently I found myself in South America on a project of connecting Africans in the diaspora with Africans living in Africa. So I found myself in Suriname, and I came across this village called Dahomey. And within Dahomey, no white person is allowed in this village. So out of curiosity,
Okay.
I was like, you know what? I need to go find out why no white person is allowed. I was told that no white people are allowed in this village. Is that true?
Yeah.
Why?
The spirit that they have here is a warrior spirit who fought against the European in the slavery time. And every time that the warrior spirit see white people, he get aggressive, so they want to fight. That's why they don't allow white people to come here.
What will happen if
That's
a white
wild.
person comes here?
That's
Oh, that's wild.
And when I released the video, the next video that came into my feed was a video of a friend of mine, by the way. His name is Joshua. He's a YouTuber based in Cape Town, talking about this town within Africa that no black person is allowed in there. And I'm like, you know what? They say curiosity kills a cat, right? So I guess with the African audience that I have, I personally want to go there as an African, as a black man, just to understand what is the motive behind it.
That's fair. That's real fair.
Bro, like literally they have everything in here. Wow. I made it to Orania, and believe me or not, this is not the Orania that I was expecting. Because when I got here, I found a country within South Africa. Are we looking at the Republic of Orania?
I think there's different levels to freedom. I think our dream, we as Afrikaners, we love republics. We've created maybe about 20 in South Africa. Only 2 of them survived long term. It was the Republic of the Transvaal and the Free State. So we are people who love republics. Our ideal form of government is a republic. And I hope that one day, maybe my children will see it.
I'm not gonna lie, chat. Orania looks kind of nice, man. I can't lie. I can't lie. It looks kind of nice. What do y'all think, man? They got solar panels, nice houses, cars, roads, almost no crime. I don't know, man.
Morning, or should I say sunrise from Orania. Today is actually my first day waking up from Orania, and it was such a peaceful night. But it's kind of crazy to know that I'm the only black man in here. I mean, it's so crazy knowing that you just woke up in a white-only town.
We feel so patriotic about our community, so proud. It's still small, you know, but we're so proud of the things that we have achieved.
Today, Orania operates like its own micronation. The town of about 3,000 people ran its own economy, and one of the backbones of their economy
themselves.
Damn.
It's really mind-blowing to see a town with just 3,000 people owning their own solar farm. Does it mean that, like, you guys don't depend on the national grid?
We're still connected to the national grid.
Yeah.
So at the moment we're approximately 45% independent from the utility, and the dream is to go the whole way.
What is the idea behind?
Bro, I'm not gonna lie, guys. This micronation Orania, bro. If you ignored the fact that they don't allow any black people in there, if you looked at it holistically without that, this is a damn nice micronation, bro. They literally have the real backbone of society, agriculture, and then other infrastructure like power, probably sewerage, water. It looks like they've addressed all of the issues that other bigger nations actually have, and they've kind of solved that. I mean, it's kind of nice, man. It looks nice. It looks nice. I'm not even gonna lie, man.
This whole solar farm, and which year did it begin?
It began in 2021.
Recent.
Recent.
Very recent.
Wow.
What is the main reason why you established your own solar farm, knowing that you live within South Africa?
The main reason for Orania is that we want to be, from the start of Orania, we wanted to be independent on many levels. And one level is energy. Our energy, if you're not energy independent, you're not free.
What makes you feel so proud as an Oranian? Should I say Oranian or South African?
You're Oranian. We're Oranians. We're in South Africa. We not loose from South Africa. They are our neighbors. We pay taxes in South Africa.
Okay.
But we're proud Oranians.
I wonder what currency they use.
Schools in Orania do not teach in English as the rest of South Africa, but rather Afrikaans. Do you have a school in here?
We have two high schools.
What?
Primary and secondary, and then we also have a college, tertiary training. We are dreaming to build our own Afrikaans university.
Whoa.
You teach in Afrikaans?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Everything we do is Afrikaans. And studies show that children who are taught in their mother tongue perform better than children who are taught in another language like
Are you against the educational system in South Africa?
Well, I'm definitely against the Bella law that's currently being implemented.
What is that?
Yeah, what is that?
That is a law that gives the state control of the schools rather than the parents of the schools. So we're very much against that. I think it's the state grabbing the power of schools, taking away people's rights. There's a lot of religious issues with that. There's lots of cultural issues with that. So South Africans are actually very angry about that. That's why the schools that we built here, we get zero state funding. We don't get a cent from the government. And it's also not expensive. So all the extra money that we need for our schools, we have to raise with projects.
So does it mean that all the people that study in this school are from Orania? Do you get people out of Orania?
Just, surrounding farms and so on also come here. And then the college, tertiary training, people from around the country also come to study here.
You can study here, but you can't live in here.
Well, they can. All of them can apply for the right to citizenship in Orania, definitely.
Citizenship? The college in Orania don't believe in theory only, but rather practicals, because they believe that the children are the ones that will be able to build the future of Orania. You have a college in Orania?
We identified the need to train our people in physical skills. Plumbing, electrical work, and masonry to build houses, and that's called skills. And that's why we started the college. In 2019, we had only 5 students, 2020, 50, and now there's about 124. We're expecting more than 200 next year.
So this is more like a plumbing practical class?
They're doing it right.
Wow.
So the first groups of students made everything, and now the second and third and fourth generation, they they get to use everything the first guys built.
Their life becomes easier.
Yeah, these tables, they built it with the lecturers.
Wow. I'm really impressed with the infrastructure development in Orania because a town of about 3,000 people got their own airstrip, and every single road that you see in this town was actually built and financed by the people. What do you do in Orania?
My responsibility is the growth of Orania. In other words, in Orania, we don't get any money from the government. We are responsible to create our own economy and your own wealth. So my responsibility is to make sure where is the certain areas that needs to address, and then we address our areas. What we are doing, we have various projects. This is just an example of a few projects that we currently busy. If you just go outside, you'll see we're currently busy building this place, this building. So it's going to be a 3-story building. That's a building that's being built here, just next to us.
Okay. The question is, how will you fund a project like this?
Okay. What we do is we say there's two various companies.
Okay.
Wow.
The one company is a company that's funding, but it must make commercial sense. And then other company rent it from that company, but it's two separate countries. So you must focus on your own business. We must make sure that Orania is growing. We are not in the...
okay.
So we rent this building from another company, and that company just make economic sense. In other words, yeah.
They've built their own health facilities.
Finesse.
And each facility is equipped with ambulance. But if the case is beyond them, they will airlift you to the general hospital in South Africa.
The helipad, we have a helipad here that can be used during emergencies. We have situations where we needed a helipad to do recons around the area, but also if there are medical emergencies where people need to be moved to hospital, we can airdrop them, we can bring in the helipad. We also have the ambulance services that help us, so we can move people to hospitals if they need to.
Orania got its own bank. And what really shocks me to see that they trade in their own currency, popularly known as the Aura. The Aura, their local currency, is used within the community to keep the money circulating among residents. Which one is the highest denomination?
So it's easy to distinguish from the rand. The 200 is the highest in value, and it goes all the way to 10 Aura. So you get the 200, 100, 50, 20, and 10, just like the rand currency.
So exchange rate?
Yeah. Exchange rate is 1-to-1. So 1 rand is equal to 1 Aura.
Bruh. I get it with the sovereignty and having your own everything. And of course, having your own currency is a part of having a republic. But making the exchange rate 1-to-1 tied with the currency of the country that's outside, to me, it's kind of wild, bro. And it's not backed by anything. So what's the it's almost worthless having the Aura out. I don't know. Honestly, it's working, chat. Their Orania, their town, the way that they run it, it's kind of nice. Not gonna lie. I just think that something else can exist and they can use crypto as their currency. That would be awesome to have the ability to have crypto like Bitcoin, Ethereum as your legal currency in a specific country because it's decentralized. Because essentially what you're doing when you have your own currency is just copying exactly what the other country is doing outside that you want to get away from. If you truly want to get away from a country's, interference with how money works, and you make a currency that's tied 1-to-1 with them and is not backed by anything except another currency, then you're dependent upon that other currencies or that other country's economy. So if the South African economy goes down, takes a nosedive, so does Oranje, because their currency relies on the rand. So to me, this is crazy. The currency thing, I don't agree with. I think they should probably have a blockchain currency, or just have Bitcoin or Ethereum or Ripple be their currency. But just relying on the rand is kind of crazy to me.
It's
just have it as the rand.
Administration quite easy, but the benefit of the Aura brings a few benefits to Oranje.
So the people of Oranje trade with Aura.
That's correct.
Will this be relevant when I step out of Oranje?
No, because you can only spend it in Oranje.
It is tied to the rand. That's ridiculous. Just keep the rand. Just keep the currency as the rand and just slowly migrate it to like a blockchain technology, bro. Crazy.
Wow. That keeps the economy growing.
How?
It also makes it more safe to use.
How?
Because there's not going to be robberies or theft of the Aura, because you can only use it in Oranje. And also it's a cultural emblem for our community.
So I just want to know, is it the same price like they sell it everywhere in the country?
Yes.
That's how it is?
Yes.
And how am I supposed to pay? Rands or Aura?
You can pay in rand or in Aura.
Oh, you accept both currencies?
Yes.
That's impressive, man. It's surprising to see that a town of about 3,000 people have their own manufacturing plant, to the extent that they manufacture things within this town and then sell it to the people out and within South Africa.
Okay.
We produce here, we design and manufacture here, and then everything goes out with courier, and within a day or two is delivered to the customer's door address. And by doing that, we get customers that live elsewhere in South Africa to support an Iranian business.
So, in order to build the economy of Oranje, you have to export products that are made in here, and the money comes back here.
Absolutely, yes.
That's impressive, man. Oranje got their own local governance.
I think what is important of it is the fact that it's totally unique.
What makes it unique?
Well, there's no other such town council in South Africa. First, it's free of political parties. There's no political parties in Oranje at all.
I like
all
that.
All the people here representing the community are personally nominated and voted for. Secondly, we had a settlement with the South African government in the year 2000 about our status as a municipality, giving us the option to first make our own municipal bylaws as a local government, and secondly, to have our own local taxes and levies, which we can use for the development of Oranje. So no party politics, no salaries for the elected officials. Obviously, the officials, the head engineer and the head of roads and those people, they get paid, but the elected officials do not get paid for their service to the community, and that's what makes it unique.
Is that Oranje flag?
This is our flag, yes, indeed.
Who is that? Who is this young man in there?
This young man is called the Little Giant.
The Little Giant?
Yeah, it symbolizes rolling up your sleeves to work. So, firstly, because of the fact that we're saying we as a culture, no one is coming to save us, no one is going to build a future for us. What we want to build, we'll have to roll up our sleeves and build ourselves. And secondly, the fact that we do our own work is also represented in that. Our goal, our mission here is to preserve our culture, to build something for our culture, to preserve our religion. The question, why can't a black person come here, is not the right question. It's more a question like a marriage between two people. It's an exclusive affair. Doesn't mean you're against anyone else. You take your wife, she's important to you.
Yep.
Or and in your wedding, in your marriage, you're exclusive. Doesn't mean it's not built on hate. It's built on love for our culture. We want to preserve our culture. We want to
yeah, but you can't compare marriage to having your own republic excluding all other groups of people. You can't compare apples to oranges like that. And people like to conflate things like that all the time just to prove a point. But you can take this blueprint that they have running their own republic in Orania, and you can copy this and make it more inclusive of other people. That's totally fine. But I think obviously people's main contention with Orania is that it doesn't accept anyone if they're not Afrikaan. That's the main point of contention. Nobody is refuting or down talking how they run their community, which me looking at it objectively, ignoring the fact that they only accept Afrikaans or white people into their town, it's ran extremely well, right? And we're going through the different parts of the infrastructure and how the town is ran. They have 40 to 50% of their own energy being created. They have skilled trades being taught in their schools. They have no political parties. Stupidly, they have their own currency that is backed by the rand instead of something else like gold or blockchain. That's something that they can change, obviously, the currency. And then overall, they have a low crime rate, if none at all. I think that the way that they're running things is how society is supposed to run. But we have to look at reality, man. This is a white-only town. And people don't think this should exist. So I'm curious as to how they continue to justify this through the rest of the video.
To preserve our traditions, our faith, our language. These are the things that we want to preserve.
But someone might ask, if you want to preserve your culture, you're preserving your culture on a land that belongs to South Africans.
Ooh.
Well, that is whole nother debate. The land here we bought.
Bruh, people say that. People say like, oh, that is people's main way of deflecting answering a question sometimes, is that, oh, that's just a whole different type of other conversation or a whole different type of other discussion without actually talking about the answer. They never really answer you like that directly. So they deflect and then they talk about like, oh, yeah, we pay for this land in full. Like, no, answer the question, the root question. Answer it. How do you feel about land that was taken from South Africans, from black South Africans? Well, we paid for it. That's not answering the question, bro.
We paid for it.
From who?
Well, at that stage, we bought it from the previous owner, which was the government. Right?
But I don't think an African can leave Africa, go to Europe, and say that we just bought this land and no one is allowed to come in.
My family came here in 1683. Right, my family arrived here. That is longer than American government official visited Orania a while back. And when I told him that fact, he said, well, that's way longer than my white family has been in America. I said, you guys are here in Africa longer than my people was in America.
Yeah.
So our name is Afrikaners. Our language is Afrikaans.
Africans, black Africans have been in Africa since the beginning of time. You can't beat that. 1600 whatever. Black Africans were on that land before your family was even in Africa. Bruh.
Right. So we feel part of this continent, and maybe people don't agree, but I don't have another home. Obviously I know that I have European roots.
Yes.
400 years ago.
Yeah.
For 400 years my people have been here.
Yeah.
I love Africa. I don't want to live anyplace else. I feel a part of this continent. My language grew, obviously from Dutch, but it grew on this continent. This is the place where I feel at home.
Yo, I find it funny that he says like there's nothing wrong with like loving where you were born, right? But he's mentioning like, yeah, I know I have European roots. Oh, I know that my language evolved from Dutch. And I'm like, bro, you're literally destroying your entire point of your family being there since the 1600s by mentioning the exact locations of where you probably should have built this city to only allow whites. Bro, this is funny, man. Seeing someone contradict themselves in HD is absolutely hilarious.
I've been overseas. This is the only place that I feel at home, is Africa. So all of these busts have been either thrown away elsewhere, or they've been either donated or thrown away. And we put them in a half circle back here to represent these men are part of our history. No nation's history is only good, but also no nation's history is only bad. However, all of this is part of our history, and we put it in a semicircle with the symbolism. They cannot look over the edge of the hill. They are in the past, they're part of our history, but they're in the past.
With all the monuments that I see in here, would you agree with me if I say that this man performed a lot of atrocities in the past?
Well, I think obviously these are controversial figures, and I think the fact that we put them here in Orania with our own funding, some people are uncomfortable in the rest of South Africa to care for them, to see them in public, and I think that's why Orania is also a solution to a lot of the international conversation about monuments, because this is on private land, private funds, and it's our history.
But I know it's your history, but at the end of the day, a lot of people were harmed in the process. You don't think if you are embracing this, you're definitely embracing apartheid?
What am I asking the real questions, guys? I wonder how he's going to try to deflect with his answer. Maybe he may mention another black person that may have committed the same atrocities. Let's find out. Maybe.
Is it okay to celebrate Shaka Zulu leader? Do you know who that is?
I know who Shaka Zulu is.
He killed a lot of people. Is it fine to celebrate him?
That's a question for South Africans.
That is a question.
Wodamaya is, well, that was good, because Wodamaya wouldn't be, he wouldn't be in a position to really answer that, since obviously he's from Ghana, he's not from South Africa. So I understand his point where he's like, yo, I mean, I wouldn't be able to answer that. I'm not from here. I know who he is, right? Shaka Zulu, you can't compare the atrocities of literally a semicircle of people and try to compare that to one person. You literally have several other individuals that have committed those atrocities in South Africa. And you're like, you know what? You celebrate Shaka Zulu, don't you? I'm like, well, that's my point. My refutement of his point of mentioning Shaka Zulu is that, dude, that's one guy. And I get it. He may have committed atrocities, but you have a semicircle of people that may have 5 or 6 X'd one other person that you mentioned. And trying to compare and conflate that between the two, you can't, bro. You can't. There's no, it's an indefensible position when you have all of those guys that have committed atrocities in South Africa. I don't even know who they are. And I'm not trying to compare that to just one person, but he is. It's crazy.
And this is a question for Iranians.
He was more like the architect for apartheid. Do you agree with that?
I agree with the fact that he implemented a lot of policies in the apartheid era. I think the apartheid legacy comes from the South Africa that the British created in 1910, the legal framework that they created at that stage, and the realities that follow after that. A lot of the South African black people fought on the British side and did not get recognition or the ability to vote after that. Yes, he continued with some policies, he created new ones, but the reality of South Africa in that context was already set there in 1910.
You don't think it's because of this that's why people have problems, you know, because of history like this, because so many South Africans are not happy with this history, even though it's part of them. But I believe, like you just said, let the past be past. I mean, we can never forget our history.
Right.
But I mean, I feel like this being here it's more like a, what do you call it? Like a sword in the eyes of the people of South Africa.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I don't think so. We have had from the ANC Youth League, we have had influential South African politicians. We have had 2 state presidents of South Africa. Nelson Mandela landed with his helicopter just there. We have had traditional black communities, Xhosas, Zulus. We have had the people of the Barulong tribe. All of them have been there. I have seen in their eyes no offense. They have expressed no offense. They have embraced Orania as a model that they can learn from, and they understand that we have the right to put our history in a context for our people here, for a way that we can explain it to our children and our grandchildren.
Bro, you oh my gosh. Oh man. I like listening to him trying to justify the existence, or at least the display of Orania's history, is kind of making my brain hurt. Because if you think about it, he's mentioning all of these prominent people like, oh, Nelson Mandela landed in a helicopter right over there, and blah, blah, blah visited, and they were okay with Orania. I'm like, bro, that doesn't matter. The town that you are living in and you are trying to defend was created by a group of white men who created the apartheid movement. That is an indefensible position, and that is why he is struggling to defend his points with Wodamaya. This is insane, bro. This guy is delusional. He's delusional. His level of delusion for his republic is insane. I'm not saying that it's bad to be patriotic to your place of residence, right? But when you're asked real questions about the history, I think you're being dishonest when you're like, oh, all these prominent people came here and visited and they said they were okay with it, they agreed with it. That doesn't mean that is wrong, bro. Or that doesn't mean it is right. That just proves that they're okay with it now. But if they had the option for this town not to exist and not be created by the people that created apartheid, I promise you they'd be like, nah. Created by who? Nah, this is not going to exist here. No, thank you. But this is crazy, bro. Wild.
My experience is 2 things I take from Orania. Number 1 is that they're doing it for themselves. And that's the culture that we as black people need to learn fast and hard.
Yeah.
They've got white domestic workers, they build their place. You look at Orania and jealous down. What is wrong with Orania for me is the racism thing.
Yep.
What is right is the fact that those people are building a city right in front of our eyes.
Literally, the point I had in this entire reaction video is that if you look objectively beyond the white only part of it, and you look at it holistically as a city or town of its own, where they're building their own infrastructure, they're creating their own energy, they're doing their own, they're doing it extremely well, and we should take notice of it and take notes and copy that on a much wider scale. But again, people's main contention is the whites only part of it. And he explained it expertly in like 10 seconds.
Our plan for Orania is to turn this that you see here, to take this from town to city. And true to our culture, we don't want a big city full of skyscrapers. We're going to build no higher than 3 stories. And we will integrate our agriculture with our city. What we want is a city that feels like farm, because we are farm people. We are people who live in the open, who like camping and hunting and outdoor activities. So we want a city that feels like a farm, and we're going to build a rural city. That's our dream. Our businesses, our schools, our Afrikaans university between these agricultural lands here around us.
People out there believe that Orania is a racist model. Do you believe that whatever you guys are practicing here is racism?
I do not believe that we are practicing racism. To tell you the truth, I've said it many times that if the question is, are there racists in Orania? I can assure you there are. There are racists in every town in South Africa and every country in the world you'll find racists. That is a fact. The Orania model is a model of cultural preservation, and that is not racist. So you might disagree with me, but my personal belief, my honest belief, is that the Orania model is not racist at all. It is, however, a model to preserve something that we hold dear and to create a future where we can live our values, our religion, our language, and share our culture.
Who are the people that are not allowed in here?
Well, Afrikaners live here. Afrikaners live here. Afrikaners who embrace the idea of own labor, we embrace our freedom ideals. This is who lives here.
If you check,
I bet you guys, if they had a very difficult problem to solve, like an almost impossible problem, I wonder how they would react if like only like 3 black people on Earth could solve that problem and they would have to live in the town in order to solve it. I wonder how they would react to like damn, yeah, we got 1 black person living in Orania, but he is in the top 0.001% of black people and is one of the only people on Earth that can solve this infrastructure problem that we have. So we accepted him based on his exemplary skill at solving this problem that we have that nobody else in the town can solve. I wonder if they would allow that to happen. I think it's just a matter of time, bro. I think it's just a matter of time until they're like, yo, nobody else can solve this in this town? Who can solve this? Oh, Orende can solve it? Oh, man, I don't know if we can let Orende in here, but if he can really solve it, all right, we'll let Orende and his family in here. Oh, man, we just, you know, we're not in a whites-only town anymore. I think it's a matter of time, bro. It's a matter of time until that happens. And then you can't refute that these folks are racist, bro. I think they are.
When South Africa gained independence, if you check the coat of arms of South Africa, it said there is unity in diversity. Orania is within South Africa, but at the end of the day, I believe what you are practicing in here is not unity in diversity.
I beg to differ.
Can you explain that?
How can there be any diversity in South Africa if cultures are not allowed to be themselves? How can there be any diversity at all? If everyone is the same, there's no diversity. If you have a cultural community and you have the Xhosa people or the Barulong people, and they also embrace their identity, and from a standpoint of knowing who you are, of being proud of your culture, of embracing who you are, you get to a point of self-confidence where you then can put out your hand and say, without anyone forcing us, I can build a diplomatic relationship with this and this, and we can do it on our own terms, community to community. That's unity and diversity. To just write it on a coat of arms doesn't mean anything. To live it by creating your own identity. Identity is needed for diversity. Without identity, there is no diversity.
Based on the conversation we've had so far, I feel like the Afrikaners actually have a problem with the English.
Well, we sure have our historical disagreements. The reason, I think there's a reason for that. The reason for that is the English took us to the brink of extinction. They took us to the brink of extinction.
How, bro?
Almost in the peace negotiations after the Second War with the English, one of the generals said, if we continue this war, we will be genocided off the face of the earth. We cannot continue this war. At that stage, 30,000 women and children were killed in concentration camps. So they took us to the brink of total stopping to exist. So obviously Afrikaners had a historic feeling of being threatened by that. I think that we are past that and so on, but still we have that colonial force of the national government in South Africa trying to make all the schools English, for example. It's not something we agree with.
If you have that problem with English, I guess black South Africans also need to have a problem with you, because at the end of the day, they were enslaved, they went through, I mean, with apartheid that happened. I mean, for me being here, I feel like seeing what I'm seeing, with what you're saying, I feel like Orania is glorifying apartheid.
Then I don't think you understand Orania.
Bruh, what am I literally just, he just said what we're all thinking. He literally just said what we're all thinking. I think it also glorifies apartheid. It literally is, it's essentially spitting in the face of people that helped South Africa overcome apartheid. The honest existence of this town is like, oh, you helped get rid of apartheid? Well, this town exists from the people that created apartheid. How do you feel about that? It's crazy. It's crazy.
I understand whatever you're saying. You don't think?
In the Great Trek, in the wars, many of our people were killed by leaders like Dingaan and Shaka. And you know, and there's the issues with the previous regime as well. So our question now is, are we going to hold this as a tit-for-tat game forever? Orania's way of thinking about that is a very niche model. I don't think it's a mainstream idea of thinking about it, but we have our own way of thinking. We view freedom as not being oppressed by anyone and not oppressing anyone. And I think that's not the reality in South Africa anymore. I think, you spoke about apartheid now, so the systems put in place, what is the difference between having a pass under the apartheid regime to go into a certain place to go work and and now swiping an ID card to get into a luxury estate to do people's work? What's the difference? Were you still living in the township? What is the practical difference?
So are you saying that apartheid still exists in South Africa today?
I think the economic equalities based on race in South Africa still exist. And I think the only place where that doesn't exist because the people do their own work is here.
This brother, like, I'm sorry, he's tripping. Every point that he's making, or at least attempting to make, can be honestly disproven with a simple Google search. So if we want to run it back a tiny bit, just a tiny bit, bro. He's comparing swiping an ID to enter a luxury estate.
Certain place to go work, and and now swiping an ID card to get into a luxury estate to do people's work. What's the difference? Were you still living in the township? What is the practical difference?
So are you saying that apartheid still exists in South Africa today?
I think the economic equalities based on race in South Africa still exist. And I think the only place where that doesn't exist because the people do their own work is here.
You have no black
people. There is no going forward unless Afrikaners embrace that model.
Of course it doesn't exist.
What you're not going to get in Orania is people falling on their knees, continuously saying sorry for their history. A lot of people apologized on our behalf for everything, and there's a lot of internal Afrikaner friction about that. But in Orania, you will find solutions. Maybe it's not the nice cherry on top stuff, people feel warm in their hearts, Orania is so nice to us, but you will find long-term solutions in terms of labor policies, in terms of community-to-community relationships, and in terms of the way we think.
Our own way, knowing that, hey, we're gonna make money and use the money that we make within our community to build our community. I believe that, like, the entire Africa will be super great, man.
Better words have never been said, Wadamaya. I 100% agree with you. And as I've been saying throughout this video, if it wasn't for the racism part of Orania, even if they're racist, we could still take a good look at this, take notes, understand like what they're doing and how they're doing it, creating their own infrastructure, right? Teaching skilled trades in order to get out there and make money for their economy and building their own economy, their own microeconomy. We can take notes from that and apply it worldwide. Because like we saw during COVID, right? The over-reliance on China, the over-reliance on Mexico. At least here in the US, we didn't have masks for quite some time. We hilariously enough, we ran out of toilet paper. We ran out of a whole bunch of stuff during the lockdown period because of our over-reliance on foreign nations. We don't produce anything here in America anymore besides cars and maybe like steel and that's it. Maybe like maybe like other industries too. But we don't really make anything here in America anymore. Everything is either produced in China, shipped over here, or produced in Mexico, shipped over here. Prove me wrong. We need more manufacturing here in the US. Maybe we pay the CEO a couple $1 million less per year and we bring a factory back to the US and we pay the people a great salary or wage and raise the price of our products maybe like by $10. It's possible. It's possible. We don't have to look at India as producing iPhones if China is going to be at a trade war with the US. How about we just make a factory over here? So when we look at our iPhones or the back of it, remember the back of the iPhones used to actually say engineered in California, assembled in China. Remember when iPhones used to say that? Now, if we move everything over here, it'll say assembled and engineered in California or in America. I would feel a lot better buying an iPhone, knowing that, you know, slave laborers didn't create this device for me. We need to start making our own stuff, man. Stop being too over-reliant on other countries.
What do you think the world can learn from Orania?
I think what the world needs to know about Orania is there's nothing strange about it. It's across the world, you get this whole thing that people come together and we feel the same as hundreds and thousands of other people. If you look at the country like South Tyrol, they do exactly the same. And I don't think there's anything sinister about it. And the world needs to know that what's going on in Orania is the same what is going on in the kingdom of Zululand or the kingdom of Lesotho or the kingdom of whatever it might be.
No,
it's people who feel they need to get together and who think together and maybe work out a better future.
Dude, people were coming up with the craziest excuses. People are coming up with the craziest excuses to justify their own racism. Sometimes they're like, yeah, this is the same what's going on in Lesotho, in Zululand. But I know for a fact, Lesotho, they allow everybody to come into the country no matter what you look like. As long as you have money. You looking to come spend money? Tourism? Oh, come on in. But even with Orania, if you don't look like them and you even have money, they're like, nah, you still can't come in. I don't know how what Amaya made it in and made this video about them, but this goes to show the two sides to the same coin, right? We can take note by how their infrastructure was created by the community, but we also have to look at them like they're a little strange because it's a white only town, and that is in a vast minority of the rest of Earth that allows everyone to go everywhere. So we look at them like they're a little strange, but we're like, you know what? There are some positives to what you guys are doing over there, but we don't like you guys being racist. Do we let y'all exist? Like, I'm wondering if the South African government's like, do we let them exist as a white only town? Or do we force them to allow everybody to move into the town? To me, it's a quagmire to be in. But eventually, they're gonna have to let Allende in there, bro. They're gonna have to let somebody in there that doesn't look like them, that can solve the problems that they may have in the future. Eventually, one of us gonna have to get up in there. That's all I got to say, bro. It ain't gonna be a whites only town forever, and I promise you that. All right, guys. As I said, go subscribe to What Am I's YouTube channel. That was a great video. I may not even edit that video. I may just let it just ride the whole video long. This is about an hour. So if you guys play it at like 1.25x on YouTube, but I hope you guys enjoyed that, man. That was very, very well done by Wodamaya. So shout out to him, man. Always go and support the original content creator. And don't forget to go to trippinwithj.com. The link is in the description box below. You can go and support the channel. So thank you guys for tuning in. And make sure you are subscribed to the channel and you click the bell notification when we go live, because we do go live. And when we post new videos as well, guys. So I appreciate you guys tuning in for that hour-long video. But again, my name is Jay. You've been Trippin' with Jay. And I'll see you guys soon. Peace.